Coming up on Loyola News Chicago, we'll discuss inflation and Mayor Lightfoot's fuel relief plan.
Plus, we'll get reaction to the Will Smith incident and talk about Chicago's colder weather going into spring.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Janae Gonzalez.
And I'm Robert Malkamaki. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. As promised, Loyola revisited the rise in COVID cases after dropping the mask mandate right before spring break. However, some students still remain unboosted, which may impact scheduling for next semester. Reporter Amelia Ickes talked to students about their views on testing and booster shot requirements.
It may not look like spring here in Chicago, but spring break has already come and gone for Loyola Chicago students. With the return to classes comes a rise in COVID-19 cases, according to Loyola's COVID dashboard. COVID positivity rate throughout campus testing has risen from 0.77% March 14th to 3.73% as of yesterday. This rise comes in the wake of Loyola lifting COVID restrictions earlier this month. Students are no longer required to wear their masks in gathering spaces, but are required to keep them on in classrooms and on campus transportation. Despite the nearly 3% increase in COVID positivity rates, some students say they don't need to get tested as long as they're vaccinated.
I'm totally okay not getting tested because I have 2 boosters and the vaccination. Yeah.
But that's not the only COVID-19 news here on Loyola's campus. Fall registration is coming up, and if students want to keep their perfect schedule, they're required to get their booster shot. We spoke with some students about whether or not they think it's fair that that's a requirement.
I think it's totally fair because we need to all be healthy, and it's like, why would you want to, infect people with COVID and this and that? I just feel like they should get boosted.
I think it is fair because I think it is important that everyone gets their booster shot so that they are protecting the overall community. And signing up for classes is like a part of that.
Students who are hoping to register for the fall semester will need to get their booster shot by the time registration begins, April 4th. Those who are not yet boosted can participate in a vaccination booster clinic April 5th down here at the Water Tower campus at the Terry Student Center or at the Lakeshore campus in the Wellness Center. Amelia Ickes, Loyola News Chicago.
As a reminder, Loyola students can upload their proof of boosters on the Loyola Health app. The CDC has approved a second booster dose of the Pfizer or Moderna COVID vaccine for certain people. The approval applies to those 50 and older, and those 12 and older who are immunocompromised. This comes as the BA.2 subvariant of Omicron has become the most common strain of COVID in the U.S. President Biden received his second booster dose on camera yesterday as he urged Congress for more COVID funding. The White House has also launched COVID.gov. It's a new national website for pandemic resources, including masks, vaccines, tests, and treatments.
These rising inflation rates have impacted nearly every part of life. Chloe Johnson reports how people are experiencing inflation at the grocery store too.
Baking chocolate chip cookies is one of my friend Monique Crumb's favorite activities, but increasing inflation may make this activity more expensive.
I think the prices at the grocery store have been on the rise recently. Today when I was going to the grocery store, I noticed some products that I would normally buy were upwards of 70 cents more than what they were before.
Already, gas prices have skyrocketed. The cost of food is expected to rise too. Daniel Montemoris works in Loyola's financial aid office and teaches a financial literacy class. He has been monitoring the economic picture and how it may impact our lives.
So if wheat prices go up, usually the price of food tends to go up. The price of bread, the things that kind of impact all of us, we can expect to see those going up.
Loyola's financial aid office, located in the Sullivan Center, does more than advise students on their tuition. They provide students with resources for financial wellness. Montemoris advises students to buy things in bulk, to pay prices up front, and save on future shopping trips. He also points out that buying produce in season lowers the overall cost. Students can also consider shopping at local farmers markets to decrease their ecological footprints.
Buying local is incredibly important, right? Because again, it fosters a cut in the expenses and the energy prices associated with trucks having to drive over from long distances and things like that.
Even as inflation increases, Crumb still plans on baking her favorite dessert. She says having a budget helps her understand how to spend her money.
I also like to set aside to see how much money I'm spending in different categories each month. So food, obviously, bills, but things that are leisure, like eating out or shopping, how much money I'm also spending on those sorts of categories.
Students can find more resources on how to save money on Loyola's financial aid website. Chloe Johnson, Loyola News Chicago.
With an inflation rate as high as 7.9% this March, understanding how to manage your money is crucial during this time. There are many strategies for students to understand their finances. Here are some of them. Investing in your education increases your earning potential. Consider negotiating payment plans for expenses like gym memberships if you are unable to pay upfront. Supplement your finances by finding additional sources of income, like applying for scholarships. Plan out how you want to spend your money by creating a budget.
The national average of gas prices has increased by 148% compared to last year at this time. So drivers are clearly feeling the pain at the pump. Mayor Lightfoot announced this morning Chicago will offer free gas and public transit cards to combat rising gas prices and inflation. The mayor announced the Chicago Moves initiative this morning and said it will give out 50,000 preloaded gas cards and 100,000 public transit cards through a lottery system. Residents can apply for these cards beginning on April 27th. Chicago currently charges an 8-cent gas tax per gallon on top of Cook County's 6-cent tax and the state's 39-cent tax.
The Women's Owl Project has symbolically renamed the Loyola Red Line stop for Sister Jean. Janet Volk, the founder of the project, has come up with a notable woman's name for all 141 stops on the Owl. She named the stops after women who taught, organized, created, or did any other work near the stop. She says she doesn't actually want to rename all the stops, but she says she'd like to see the CTA install plaques or honor women in some way. Famous historic women included in the project are Jane Addams, Ida B. Wells, Betty White, and Michelle Obama. Volk says not all the women on the map are well known, but she argues they all should be. The CTA released a statement yesterday saying, in part, "We applaud her creativity and share her appreciation of women's history." If you're a big fan of the Loyola men's basketball team, you're in luck and invited to their end-of-the-year banquet. The ceremony will take place on April 21st at 6:30 p.m. There will be dinner provided and beer and wine for those who are of age. Awards will be given to members of the team, and all of the team's hard work will be celebrated on this special night. To purchase tickets, head over to ramblertickets.com and guarantee your spot for this event.
After the break, we'll get reaction to Will Smith's behavior at the Oscars.
And we'll have a story of a police officer who's using his hands to give back to his community.
Miss? 多少钱一碗？一碗 just 一碗。我和你 I'll pay you money. I've got this money here. Please take the money, please. Let me see.
把他带走。
The Oscars were this past Sunday, and this year's ceremony won't be forgotten anytime soon. Reporter Casey Frink talks with Loyola students to get their reaction to the Chris Rock-Will Smith controversy.
This year marks the 94th Annual Academy Awards, and if you live under a rock, this news might be a slap across the face. Here's a recap and what students had to say.
Oh, wow! Wow! Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
I found out about the incident through memes on Instagram. A lot of memes of Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith. I was actually kind of shocked because Will Smith is known as one of the nice guys in Hollywood, and to see him lose his cool like that was really shocking.
Roommates were like, did you see what happened at the Oscars? And I was like, no, because I hadn't been home. And they were like, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And I was like, oh, that's really funny. What happened? And then they explained that it was about the wife. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, he's sticking up for his wife. I appreciate that. And
wow, dude. It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Since the incident, Jada Pinkett Smith has spoken out and her husband has issued an apology. It's unclear as to whether or not Will Smith will return to next year's show to announce the winner. Casey Frink, Loyola News Chicago.
While the Academy has described the incident as an assault, Rock decided not to press charges against Smith. The Academy is currently deciding if Smith will be invited to the next year's show.
Happy National Tater Day from our newsroom. Reporter Jacqueline Davis is here to unpack the truth about the misunderstood vegetable.
National Tater Day falls on March 31st, where people celebrate by making dishes with its key ingredient. Potatoes are known for their density and are heavy in carbohydrates. They make for cheap meals that are filling.
Oh yeah, potatoes always have had a really bad rep, being really high in carbs and stuff, but it's a really great way to get some energy.
National Tater Day began in the 1800s to celebrate the crop worldwide. Potatoes are known a historic remedy treating illnesses and treating famine. They also have been rapidly produced for centuries, stemming from the need of a staple food that keeps people full. Potatoes are an excellent source of fiber and can be found almost anywhere with different preparations.
Don't sleep on potatoes. They tend to have a lot of vitamins and minerals. Fun fact, potatoes actually have more potassium than a banana.
Potatoes are encouraged as part of a balanced and nutritious diet, especially on such a renowned holiday. With Loyola News, I'm Jacqueline Davis.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And now we know that carbs really aren't always the enemy after all, and fries are sounding pretty good right about now. Hopefully you learned something about the starchy truth.
It's almost April, but Chicago's weather may still feel like it's February to some. The last several days have seen colder than average temperatures, rain, and even some snow flurries. Temperatures going into April will be in the mid to upper 40s. There will also be more showers coming our way this weekend and into the next week, but it should not be snow or flurries like we've seen this week. We'll begin to see some sunshine and temperatures in the 50s and 60s in a couple weeks.
A police officer in South Suburban Lansing had originally begun a new hobby to save money, but now it's taken off. Ethan Roberts reports how 292 Designs has become a growing business.
In an effort to save a little cash, Stephen Roberts, Deputy Chief of Police in Lansing, Illinois, took up a new hobby 5 years ago. Little did he know, this hobby would turn into something much bigger.
I do woodworking, mostly thin blue line flags, thin red line flags, crosses, and other custom work.
Stephen started 292 Designs, which he named after his police badge number, after realizing the amount of money he could save by doing his own woodworking.
My wife would go out to craft shows and she would buy certain things, and she'd bring them home and I'd look at them thinking I could make that, and realizing how much she spent on them, I started making a couple things here or there.
Even though he has had success with the various flags, crosses, and baseball plaques he makes, Stephen laments other ideas that did not work out as well.
The one that I was really hoping would take off was a game called Big Craps, my own version of an outdoor craps game where I handmade dice, and I still sell those, but not a whole lot. I was thinking that those would take off a little bit better.
Some of Stephen's most memorable works were those that he made for his home church.
I made a huge cross that is in the daycare room. It's a very customized piece.
All the effort that Stephen has put into his business has not gone to waste, as nearly every single customer has been happy with their product.
I've gotten all 5-star reviews except for one person. People are very complimentary of my work. Everybody's been very positive about it.
With multiple years of experience in his toolbox, Stephen looks forward to continuing 292 designs in the future. For Loyola News, I'm Ethan Roberts.
You know, Robert, as someone who can barely build a bed frame with only 4 pieces, I find that very impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive, and it's also impressive how he's not only just doing it as a hobby, but now he's growing it into a business too. Well, that is all the news we have for you today. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time on Loyola News Chicago.